Live from Studio 3B in Rockefeller Center, you're watching Sports Final on NBC4 New York. Here's your host, John Chandler.
You've waited all off-season for this, football fans. Training camp behind us, preseason ahead of us this week. And judging by the level of enthusiasm coming out of both the Giants and Jets camps, these two teams are forces to be reckoned with this season. Really, the everything is awesome vibes are off the charts, I think, this summer. So it's time to pump the brakes just a little bit and get a reality check with Jake Asman of ESPN New York Radio and the Jake Asman Show on YouTube and everywhere streaming that you want to hear about the Jets and the Giants, Jets especially. That is your wheelhouse. I want to talk about both of these football teams because, and I don't mean to bring the temperature down a little bit, but it feels like there is just runaway excitement with both of these teams. And maybe that's a sign that they both have had good training camps.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, I think the excitement with the Giants, you could feel it just because you have a new coach who's been as successful as any in the league. So it starts with him. They say the NFL is a coach and quarterback league. Well, despite how awful last year was for Giants fans, you left going, we might have a quarterback in Jackson Dart. Now you combine him with someone who basically has had success in almost every year. Right. He's been an NFL head coach. You feel like, okay, the Giants are back to being the Giants. So I definitely get that sense of excitement from them.
Sure. We were both at the draft in Pittsburgh, though. Remind me, I mean, these two teams were picking top five, but yet here we are. I have people telling me Giants playoffs in the same sentence, but that is the John Harbaugh factor, I think, that starts off with this team. What are impressions of the first camp under head coach John Harbaugh as they go down to the Greenbrier in West Virginia and really sweat it out there? I mean, it was a challenging camp.
Challenging is a great word, and just how specific and detail-oriented it was. I've never seen an NFL team, at least in this market, the last several years, have more just drive-to-drive scenarios where they're covering everything. It's not just walkthroughs. It's not just individual drills and a 90-minute practice like we've seen around the NFL. Harbaugh every day is having these guys out there for the full 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You know, they had 4 straight days with the pads on. You compare that to the Jets, who did 2 on and then an off day. So
you were out there in the rain?
Yeah, you could just see, like, Harbaugh is an old school kind of coach, and it feels like that's what the Giant fan was desperate to get, and you have that guy now, and he's certainly coaching his guys hard, and if they're ready to go when the season starts, that's the end goal at the end of the day, and you could tell it's totally different than what the Giant players were used to under Brian Daboll.
Yeah, and they kind of needed that professional reset, I think. A guy that's come in, has been there, has won that, has that credibility, especially with Jackson Dart. This is his first camp now as a starting quarterback. And to pair him with John Harbaugh, it seems like even with Dart, I know kind of got into it with Greg Newsom a little bit there at camp, but like it just seems like Harbaugh was able to bring the temperature down a little bit there with his quarterback and keep him focused.
And you look at Dart, obviously he has the exciting rookie year, but now is really the real test. Can you, as the guy, step up and lead the entire team? You're the face of the franchise now. If you look at what Jackson Dart represents, he's also learning a new offense. So there's going to be some growing pains along the way as Matt Nagy comes in as the offensive coordinator. Greg Roman's in there as the run game coordinator. So you're trying to basically blend multiple offenses together, because if you look at Harbaugh's history, he wants to run the ball, and that means Jackson Dart's going to play under center. That means you're going to have play action. These are things that, despite Dart showing success, a lot of it was off script. It was him running around.
That's when he's at his best.
Right. And you don't want to take that away from him. But in training camp, you're going to harp on being in the pocket, getting the footwork down, making sure that you have a clear understanding of all these plays and the different things they can run out of it. And I think it's been interesting to hear some of the reports that there's been up and down days, which this is what you want in training camp. You want Dart to go through that growing pain stuff now, so he's ready to go when the Giants open the year against the Cowboys.
So much of Jackson Dart's success in year 2 and the Giants' success by extension depends on the health of Malik Neighbors. Yeah, everyone around Jackson Dart, you got to have a lot of talent, but there's a reason he wears the number 1 on his jersey. By all accounts, you watch Malik Neighbors, and I wasn't sure if he was going to start on the PUP list and what we're going to see. He looks healthy.
It's almost like the Giants have, it's almost like the Giants have downplayed the expectations for Malik. I mean, we were led to believe that, the regular season, we're hoping to get him back at some point pretty early on. And now it feels like, well, he's been out there, he's running routes, he looks like he's fully healthy. The next step is for him to go out there and get into 11-on-11 team drills. Yeah. We'll see how he looks over the next couple of weeks. But if you were betting on it right now, I think you'd say, yeah, Malik Neighbors is going to be out there on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys to start the season for the Giants.
And from the sounds of it, that's what he wants. I mean, it seems like he's itching to get back out there. You got to take it easy with him and just be careful, because you rush him back and it's really not worth it if you end up losing him to an injury for the long term just to satisfy the short term. So that's the balance you have to go there. On the defensive side of the ball, and certainly there is talent on the Giants defensive side. There's a lot of question marks too, but I'm so intrigued by what I see from Arvell Reese. In this camp, it felt like he was doing something every day to improve.
You look at just how you could use him, right? And this was the big debate with the Jets, of course, with that number 2 pick. Is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? Well, you feel like with the Giants, he's going to clearly be an inside linebacker. But, if you listen into some of the reports out of camp, they're using him all over with need be. And, I mean, he's 20 years old. You talk about someone who's just scratching the surface of what he is as a football player. This is someone that has true superstar potential. You put him on that defense with some of the other big names the Giants already have. You're expecting, Abdul Carter to take a huge step now in his second year. Brian Burns is obviously as good as any in the league at his position. You have players now. Now the key for the Giants is for them to all come together because they had leads in games last year and they couldn't close.
It feels like Arvell Reese is going to be a big part of that. I know when we were at the draft and the Giants took him, remember you telling me you thought the Jets, it would have made more sense to see him with the Jets.
Yeah.
End up with David Bailey.
I was a huge fan of Arvell Reese and David Bailey.
Yeah.
My thought process from a Jet lens when they were picking at number 2 was, if this guy has the highest ceiling, I'm not drafting for this upcoming year. So, some of the logic when taking Bailey was, well, he's the most ready to rush the passer right away. I'm not worried about 2026 from a Jet standpoint. It'd be nice to be competitive. It'd be nice to win games.
Sure.
But I want the best player over the next 5. And I felt like that could have been Arvell Reese. But look, based on everything we've heard about David Bailey and Arvell Reese so far, how about the scenario, John, where they're both outstanding football players and Jets and Giants fans are really happy?
I feel like that's perfect scenario. And I think these two are always going to be compared for that reason. And there's been a lot of wow moments from David Bailey in this Jets camp.
There really has been. And I think what makes Bailey so impressive is look who he's doing it up against. It's not like he's beating backup tackles. The Jets, for all their issues, John, the one thing they have is a stud right tackle in Armand Membu and a really solid young offensive left tackle in Olu Fashanu. So when you're winning reps against those guys, one, they're both making each other better, no matter whether it's Membu against Bailey or it's Bailey against Olu. They're all going out there and making one another better. And just to see Bailey have that success right away, that's really exciting if you're a Jet fan, because I think the Jets have made some nice moves to try and raise the floor of their defense, bring it back to Mario Davis, trading for Minka Fitzpatrick, signing David Onyemata. Like, they have some players who have been solid pros. I don't think they have any stars on their defense, superstars. They traded Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams last year. Those were stars. They're not there anymore. So David Bailey is the number 2 pick in the draft. He's got the chance to be a star, a superstar.
Geno Smith seems to be having a really great camp, especially if you listen to Aaron Glenn. And his offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, was talking about it. How old is Geno? It seems like he's 28, not 35.
Laser focused,
all right.
Frank Reich
Yeah,
said.
Laser focused. But Geno seems to, especially with his wide receivers, got great chemistry out there.
If you look at the Jets, they have players. That's what's so, I think, painful for a lot of Jet fans. It's like if you remove Jets from the helmets and just look at the talent, they have players. Garrett Wilson's a really, really dynamic wide receiver. He's been over 1,000 yards every year. He's been healthy besides last year when he unfortunately was hurt. A.D. Mitchell flashed a ton of potential in his brief 8-game stint after he was a part of the Sauce Gardner trade with the Jets. You look at Omar Cooper Jr. They traded up. We were there together during the draft. They traded back into the first round to get him. He's flashed potential. Isaiah Williams, who was voted Jets team MVP last year.
Dude, says Aaron Glenn.
The head coach is in love with him. And you know what? The few times I've been at camp this summer, he makes plays. So you also combine Breece Hall and Mason Taylor in his second year at tight end. I know Kenyon Sadiq, unfortunately, is hurt right now, but the Jets say he'll be ready for week 1. 16th overall pick at that position with the 4.3 speed he offers. You have playmakers. And, of course, Breece Hall as your top running back, over 1,000 yards last year in a difficult spot. They have players. Geno Smith just needs to go out there, and he needs to just prove that last year the reason why his numbers were down and the reason why he was available in the first place is because the Vegas Raiders were a mess, and Geno, the version the Jets are now getting, is similar to the player in Seattle where, he threw for over 4,000 yards.
Yeah, comeback player of the year in 22.
Right. Like he's had moments where he looked like a really good quarterback. I don't know if the Jets could bank on getting that, but I certainly think he's an upgrade over anything they put on the field last year.
You know what? You got me fired up for football season now.
Can't wait.
Job done. Jake Asman from the Jake Asman Show on YouTube, Spotify, Daily Jets Talk, of course, post-game breakdowns, streaming all the time. Pretty much you want to talk Jets, he's going to be your guy. We have games this week, too. The Jets host the Buccaneers on Friday. Giants host Minnesota on Saturday. Jake, thanks so much.